He had a heck of a Father's Day yesterday. His son TJ has got a new heart. And I love Greg Olson. He'll be joining us in hour number 3. And I love this man as well. I couldn't be more happy for him because he's got a new book called Centerstage, My Most Fascinating Interviews from A-Rod to Jay-Z, as a host of the award-winning show Centerstage on Yes. Growing up in New York, as I did, as he did as well, a dream job would be to be talking sports every single day, as he does, and also be the voice of the New York Yankees, as he is. And I watch him all the time with my kids because Yes Network is always on in my house. He's Michael Kay, who I've known forever and a day. How are you, Michael Kay?
I'm great, Rich. Belated Happy Father's Day.
Same to you, man.
Thanks.
Same to you. What were you doing? Oh, that's right. You were calling a walk-off triple play. I saw that.
Walk-off triple play, and then my wife and kids took me out to dinner after that, so it was a nice Father's Day.
A lot of walk-offs.
Yes.
I imagine I know you've called triple plays because the Yankees have had 3 of them this year. Is that your first walk-off triple play of your career?
That's the first one. I think the Yankees have had one in 1903 and 1913, so I was a little young then. But I had only seen one triple play in my life before this year, the Randy Velarde unassisted triple play, even as a fan. So 3 and then 2 in like 4 days, kind of amazing.
It is, man, especially since Aroldis Chapman had a visit to the mound by Aaron Boone and then the trainer, and it looked like he might be coming out. Double barrel action in the pen, and his 11th pitch of the appearance with just 2 strikes thrown was the triple play. I mean, that is amazing.
It might not have ended well yesterday because he didn't have great stuff, and the nail seemed like it was bothering him. But Boone joked afterwards that he said, I didn't go out there checking on his nail. I said, just throw a 3-ball right here. So he did.
That's it. I love it. Well, I mean, and plus in this day and age, Michael, I just can't tell anymore if a pitcher doesn't have it because they're not using what they normally put on a baseball. What is your perspective of what Major League Baseball is attempting to do? Certainly since Garrett Cole has been right there in the front and center in the middle of all of this, Michael.
I don't like it. I understand why they're doing it. The thing I don't like about it is why are you doing it in the middle of June? Because you're asking pitchers to change something that they've been doing for a long time. Even those that don't weaponize it into spin rate, there are people that actually use stuff on the ball to get a grip. And now you're asking them not to do that. And if you believe Tyler Glass now, it could have really negative consequences as well. But I do understand what they're doing because the first 2 months of the season, it was really tough to watch baseball. There's no action, fastball, strikeout, fastball, walk, fastball, home run. That's not good. It's not good for the game. There's very little action, very little balls put in play. So they had to do something, and I think they were desperate. That's why they're doing this in the middle of the season. Yeah,
because I think somebody took it too far. I mean, people were taking it way too far. I mean, that's spider tack stuff. I've seen videos about what it actually is. You know, general contractors use it to build houses. I mean, pitchers shouldn't use it to get a grip on a baseball. I mean, that's just insane.
Well,
Michael.
I was told by a couple of people that the grip that the pitchers had on baseballs, like last year you could really tell because the ballparks were empty, which was terrible. But if you've ever ripped Velcro, that's what it sounded like, a ball coming off a pitcher's hand. That's how much adhesive they had, and that does increase spin rate. So spin rate is something that makes a pitch a little bit more unhittable, and that's why you saw a batting average for the entire Major League Baseball equal to what it was in 1968. So something had to give rather than moving the mound back 2 feet or a foot or anything like that, and this was their first step.
What are you hearing about the actual manner in which they're going to, check for this stuff? Like,
they're going to have strip searches, which is going to be fun, but it's going to be an R-rated game. I don't know. Nobody really, even yesterday speaking to the media, Garrett Cole wasn't sure exactly how they're going to enforce this. But, I mean, if we worry about pace of play, Rich, really not good to keep stopping the game to check a pitcher. So I hope they do that between innings or whatever the case may be.
Well,
but it's going to be ugly.
It's not just it's not pace of play anymore. It's quality of play. I mean, you just said it. I mean, there was a game. Look, I say it to you on the air. I text it to you off the air. I truly mean it. Like you're the voice in my house, maybe more than mine. You know, I mean, we're constantly watching Yankee games, and there was an inning where I think it was Yankees-Rays, 9th inning, game on the line, 2 men on, 2 men out, and a ball had yet to be put in play. You know what I'm saying? And even the exciting stuff, you got this feeling in your gut saying something's off here. Something's just not right. Even when the excitement is there, Michael, there's something has to be done. Something had to be done.
Yeah,
and I'm wondering.
A lot of people complain about the launch angle and the 3 true outcomes, but smarter people than me have come up with the fact that against the pitching the way it is right now, the best and most efficient way to score is to hit a home run, because you're not going to string together 5 or 6 hits with one reliever after the other coming in from the bullpen hitting 98 miles an hour. And in case that stops, in the event that stops, then hitting will return to the game, and also you might have to outlaw shifts. And I hate to legislate against people being smarter than other people, but I think that's what you do, because the bottom line is you've got these Ivy League grads finding the most efficient way to win, but they are not entrusted with making the game entertaining.
No.
The most efficient way to win is not the most entertaining way.
But that's, I'll push back on that, even though you might not believe that. But Michael Kay here on the Rich Eisen Show, and we'll talk about Centerstage in a second, his new book about his interviews with some of the best and brightest right here on the Rich Eisen Show, Michael Kay. I'm going to push back just a little bit here, because the Yankees of the Torre era, they put the ball in play. They always put the ball in play, and they never really had a league leader in home runs, but they did hit home runs. But everybody did, and they had pitching. So do you think the Yankees of those years that you were calling, Michael Kay, could win now in baseball?
Paul O'Neill thinks they could win. But I will tell you this, it's a lot harder to hit now than it was then.
Really?
So I understand your pushback. It's not really even pushback. It's almost a confirmation. The game has changed so much that you remember those teams, Rich.
Yeah.
What they would do is they would work the starting pitcher to the point that the starting pitcher would be knocked out in the 5th inning.
Right.
And then they would beat up on the underbelly of the bullpen. There is no underbelly of bullpens anymore. Everybody throws 95 miles an hour. It's hard to hit. It just is. I don't know if you can hit like that. Now, O'Neill claims, he said on the air, anybody who says they can't take the ball against the shift is lying. But then I've had Mark Teixeira on my show, and he goes, it's not that easy to do, and also I'm paid to hit over the shift, not through it.
Right. Well, plus I'm paying a ticket to see somebody hit a ball and it goes safely, not bunt, just because the left field line is wide open. Like that's not what I want to do either. But all right, Michael Kay here on the Rich Eisen Show. Congrats on this book, sir.
Thank you.
Centerstage. What are you most proud of about this, Michael? The names on the book cover are remarkable, to say the least.
Yeah, I mean the A-list guests that we've had, and you doing a show, it's not an easy thing to do, especially when you get a person that has to commit in person to be there for over an hour. It's like an hour and a half commitment. And we started out 20 years ago. Our first guest was Steve Young, and I couldn't think of a better guest to start with. He was the best, and he's in the book. And just the amount of guests that we've had and the things that we've uncovered. And I just found this out, Rich.
Yes, sir.
2 weeks ago, so it's not even in the book. We had Mike Tyson on. And Tyson on stage was alternately crying and laughing uproariously, flipping between happy and sad. There were times I was sitting there thinking he was going to hit me. The audience was sitting on the edge of their seats. I left that interview and go, wow, that was raw. That was just visceral. And then I found out 2 weeks ago that show aired on Yes. And a gentleman by the name of Spike Lee was watching. Mm-hmm. The show ended, and he called up Tyson immediately and said, that's a show, one-man show on Broadway I want to produce. And that's actually where Tyson on Broadway began.
No kidding.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't know that until 2 weeks ago.
Did you leave, so thus you didn't get a piece, let alone a house seat for that?
You know what? I'm glad you asked, because we think alike. I know Spike, and I like Spike.
Yeah.
I was on that stage too, Spike. How about a little something for the effort?
Well, I mean, how about a one-man? What would the one-man Michael Kay play be called, Michael? What would that be called?
Run-on sentence.
No, it would be called I Don't Eat Ketchup. It could be that.
I got it. K doesn't always mean strikeout.
See, ladies and gentlemen, Michael Kay. Round of applause right there. I like it. So, yeah, we had Tyson here, what was that, about 5-6 years ago, I think, and that was back in a day where the radio clock that I had, which is, I'm sure I know I'm talking your language there as well, we'd have to take a break in the middle of the hour. Ooh. And Tyson came on 20 minutes into the hour, and I had to take a break at some point during the interview. And the question is when do you do it? When do you not? And I asked him a question about, what would you tell the old Mike Tyson back in the day that, that he wouldn't know right now? And he goes, well, the old Mike Tyson wouldn't listen to me. And I said, why? And he said, because, that he definitely didn't listen to people back then. And I asked him how many rounds could he give me right now. He goes, I don't want to even think about it. He goes, why? Because he said I might hurt somebody. That's when I took the break.
That's a good break.
I'm like, we'll be right back. I mean, and that 60 seconds was like, what do you say to somebody? You know what I mean? I always found that always an awkward moment when there's a guest sitting right there. And I imagine shooting something over an hour and a half, you had moments like that all the time with some of your guests.
Yeah, I mean, we'd have to break with Tyson, and after he's crying, and what do you say to him? Oh, by the way, beautiful weather, huh?
How'd you like a Broadway play? That could be something.
I've always been. I'm sure that you're like this as well. Like when Letterman would go to break and lean in, and I want to know what he leaned in and said.
Yes.
That's the stuff I'm curious about.
Yes. The one time I was on Letterman, he leans into me as the commercial break, and he goes, "Thanks."
That was it.
That was it. So people at home, what's he saying to Rich? So what's he saying to Thanks. Also, some of the names here are some of the all-time great Yankees, like Berra, and what were those, what do you have memories of those moments, Mike?
The Berra moment to me that I take out of it, and I explain this in the book, is just when you're around somebody for a long time, and an hour is a long time, you realize why they are who they are. And I think that's the crux of the book as well. But with Yogi, he was so nice to everybody. I mean, he made everybody feel like they were the most important person in the world. So we have a comic that comes out and warms up the audience before the show. His name is Pete Dominic, and he brought his father, a World War II veteran who loved Yogi. So I brought the dad into the dressing room before the show, and Yogi made him feel like the most important person in the world. And Pete told me that's one of my dad's biggest moments in life. And I just think that's what Yogi Berra is about, just a sweet, gentle man who never let his celebrity get the best of him. And I've seen the celebrity get the best of a lot of people, but not Yogi Berra.
Who would you want that you didn't get?
We're still working.
I know that.
Springsteen, Billy Joel, Jerry Seinfeld, and Michael Jordan. Seinfeld, I don't understand why we don't have him, because we've had Larry David on, and Larry and I have gotten to have a really great relationship. He'll text me during Yankee games screaming about a move that Aaron Boone made.
Right.
And so he obviously had a good experience on the show, but I don't know if Jerry has an aversion because of the Yankee connection with Yes. He's such a big Met fan, we have not been able to get him on.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I mean, it could be that. It could be a Met-Yankee thing, which you have to respect too, right?
Well, you know what? Then I've got to call in Gary Cohen from the bullpen and have him host that show.
I mean, you wouldn't want to do that, Michael. Let's be honest here. Let's put every card on the table.
Peel the show out of my death grip.
Springsteen would be the winner too, right? And Billy Joel, what would you ask him, man? What would the?
Well, I sign off my radio show every day. Life is a series of hellos and goodbyes. I'm afraid it's time for goodbye again. So I'd ask him where that line came from.
Okay, very good. He could basically say, "I don't remember. I was drunk." He could say that, back in the day.
And then I'll go, "It's time for break."
Okay, so this is your off day, and then not for your radio show. When do I see you again, Michael? When do I hear your voice?
Tomorrow at 7 with David Cohn for Yankees Royals.
Mike,
with Garrett Cole on the mound.
There we go. All right, I feel I go back and forth. I feel for the guy. I mean that question that I guess was it Pete Davidoff that asked him did you ever use
Davidoff from the Post.
Ken Davidoff, my bad.
I thought it was. You know what? I didn't think it was an illegitimate question.
Did you ever use
what I don't like, Rich, is that this guy's being made to be the face of it. He's far from the only person, and for some reason, because of Josh Donaldson, he's the face of it. I just don't think that's fair. And I don't know if you've ever interviewed him. He's really smart. And I just think he was caught between what he wanted to say and kind of what he was advised to say, and nothing came out.
The Yankees don't make a lot of players available nationally, Michael. You know that. I mean, they do not. It's just that simple. Because I'm as diehard a Yankee fan as there is, I would love to interview every last one of them, and it's very difficult.
I wish you could get him on because
I'd love to.
Talking with him about pitching, it's like a master's
Michael,
class.
he was a kid. He was like me going to Yankee Stadium, except I just, I don't have a $300 million contract because so the Yankees, haven't hired me.
I heard it's really close, though.
You know, my spin rate's a little off. You know, that's my problem. Hey, Mike, you're the best, bud. I appreciate it. I'm there every night. You know, so do you answer Larry? Because sometimes you don't answer me when I text you, Michael.
I get frowned upon for being on the phone sometimes, but I will.
Who's frowning?
I answer
Who's
him.
frowning?
I will answer you too.
Who frowns? Who frowns?
I do have bosses, you know. Well, how are you paying attention? See, I have ADD, so I can pay attention to 1,000 things at once, but they don't get that.
All right, Michael. Look for my text tomorrow night. Take care of yourself, bud.
You got it. Say hello to the family.
You too. That's Michael K. Everybody. Michael K. Everybody. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.